Hi, my name is Anthony Anzalone, and I had the pleasure of doing a book report on An Introduction to Multicultural Education. Before getting into a summary of this book, what I thought the strengths of the book were, and my personal reflection of the book, I thought it was important to shed some light on the history of our author, as I feel his his voyage throughout life and the role he's played in different educational aspects allows us to take away his points with a lot more credibility and a lot much more respect. And I just feel like from understanding his background in the education world, we will take his points into much more consideration as future educators. So the author of this book goes by the name of James A. Banks. Banks currently serves as the director of the Center for Multicultural Education for the University of Washington, which is located in Seattle. Along with that, he is a former president of the American Educational Research Association. So just seeing the role he's played in not just multicultural education, but education as a whole, just seeing how involved he's been with it, says a lot about the points he makes in the book. And after reading it and having this knowledge of what he did, I just felt like his points were that much more credible. Moving on. So with the summary of this book, he addresses many different things that pertain to multicultural education, certain just what it consists of, what how we could go about promoting it, and just all kind of aspects that go about the enhancement of multicultural education. So one of the things I think he does quite often in throughout the book to give us that sound summary is he addresses a lot of the critical questions attached to the concept of multicultural education. These include what exactly is multicultural education, what do the major goals of multicultural education consist of, and what are some common misconceptions that come with multicultural education. So he answers that first question by saying that multicultural education looks to create reform and change in the educational world. This comes from the idea that there are many theorists out there who believe that not just schools, but colleges and universities as well, um, have a lot of habits and tendencies that tend to deteriorate and hinder with students. And this is because their habits tend to negatively affect our views of race, religion, ethnicity, socioeconomics, language, gender. There's just a lot that goes on in the educational world that many theorists feel deteriorate from that aspect of our lives. And as a result of that, multicultural education is just looking to reform that, especially with our diverse society. I'm sure, we've all seen it just recently in our world. We've seen so much more diversity, which is honestly a beautiful thing, but it needs to be accounted for correctly. Again, our country is known as the melting pot. There are so many different cultures, races, values. There's just a lot that comes with it. And as beautiful as it is, it needs to be handled in a responsible way. So, because of that, there need to be changes in our education so that all those different students, those diverse groups of learners can feel comfortable and have the platform to succeed. So, in terms of major goals of multicultural education, there was a lot of emphasis in the book about perspective. And what we're looking to do is widen that narrow perspective that people might have to incorporate the values of different cultures, different ethnicities, different religions, different races, and just having that wider understanding and that wider viewpoint um, helps us understand who we are, helps us understand ourselves better, because we're just looking at things through multiple lenses. We're taking into account many differences that our world consists of. In terms of common misconceptions, many tend to feel like multicultural education is for the others, that it's really just looking out for the African Americans, the Latinos, the poor, the women. However, Banks makes it clear in his book that multicultural education looks to address everyone. It wants to keep everyone accountable, including the white male middle class people of the world. It's looking at all of those areas. It's including everyone, every possible combination of person in order to just truly better understand our world and the different people that come within it. And with that, we're setting ourselves up to have just a better, create better members of our diverse world. Another common misconception that Banks addresses in this book is that multicultural education is looking to combat the West. Many feel that it's an attack on our Western civilization. It kind of just goes against what we've stood for, when in reality, many of the writers that promote multicultural education come from Western civilization, and many of them being of color. So, with that point, it's clearly showing that we aren't just drifting from what we are. It's actually building upon our values. It is actually described that multicultural education was a Western movement, and because it came from our values of freedom, justice, and equality. So it's really, instead of attacking our Western civilization, it's actually building upon a lot of our values. So, in addition to answering some critical questions, throughout the book, Banks also provides some particular strategies that teachers can do and solutions in order to enhance multicultural education, as well as some common benchmarks that we could look out for to see the progress we're making. So, he addresses what teachers can do to create a successful, diverse student environment. And one of the things he addresses pretty vividly is giving diverse students a voice, having them see and understand that their voice matters and that what they say will be taken with consideration and not just simply neglected. And he also provides something that teachers should avoid, which I thought was very, very strong of him to do, because it's not only saying what we should be looking out for, but it's also saying what we should be avoiding. So Banks states that teacher-centered instruction is very damaging, not just to multicultural education, but to education as a whole. Just simply limiting that voice of the student, regardless of the diversity status, is just simply deteriorating to the classroom environment. So, in terms of benchmarks, it really all does start with the school having a multicultural education policy, and then from there you could have the hopefully occurring effects emerge, such as curriculum being addressed, proper teaching strategies, and just having the staff being with open arms to the diverse students and creating that thriving environment. So, in terms of strengths, I thought that Banks throughout the book did a really good job of securing his points. He always seemed to put in his side of the argument and then include the opposite and then kind of use that to counter and then enhance his argument. And he tended to really do that with the goal of multicultural education with misconceptions. He clearly stated a goal, how to achieve it, and then he kind of showed the other side that hinders at the goal, but showed why those misconceptions shouldn't be accounted for. And then with the role of teachers in the classroom, he provides a way for teachers to properly administer the class and to properly teach the class. And then he also gives something that teachers should avoid doing, which I thought was pretty powerful. So this book truly was so insightful on my future in teaching. I will definitely use the principles of this book to help my students feel comfortable. And I have actually recommended this book to my aunt, who is a middle school math teacher in Queens, who has, a lot of diverse students and has said she has wanted to use this book to help teach.